They told you orphanages were places of refuge, sanctuaries where lost children found safety. But what if I told you that behind the walls of St. Catherine's Academy, something darker festered? Something so sinister it was erased from history by those sworn to protect it. Imagine a place where innocence was stripped away not by fate, but by design. Where the cries of 70 young girls vanished into silence, swallowed by shadows no one dared to expose. The truth is, these weren't mere orphans. These were prisoners, forgotten by the world, their stories locked away in basements and buried beneath layers of lies. This is the story of the 69 orphan girls who never left St. Catherine's Academy. A secret so chilling, it was never meant to reach your ears. Now listen carefully. What you are about to hear is forbidden history. Hidden agendas, psychological control, ancient corruption intertwined with religious manipulation. The kind of knowledge that, once known, changes a man forever. The year was 1834. Massachusetts was booming, factories, commerce, progress. But with progress came broken families, lost children. The orphan crisis was exploding, and the city of Salem sought a solution. Enter St. Catherine's Academy, perched ominously on Gallows Hill Road, an address that whispered its own sinister tale. On the surface, the academy promised salvation, education, care, and Christian values for girls abandoned by fate. But beneath its Gothic facade, something far darker was taking root. The founder, Mother Superior Victoria Whitman, was no ordinary woman. With her steely gaze and elite Boston upbringing, she projected divine authority, an iron fist wrapped in velvet. Alongside her, Sister Margaret, the gentle guardian who won the girls' trust, and Sister Agnes, the ruthless disciplinarian whose word was law. Together, they ran not a refuge but a fortress, one where control was absolute and escape impossible. This was not just an orphanage. It was a mechanism for erasure. The girls who arrived at St. Catherine's came from tragedy, fires, disease, accidents. Each was promised a future, a place in a respectable home. But something didn't add up. None of the girls aged as time passed. No letters came from families. No visits, no reunions. The academy always remained silent, a closed book sealed tight by the sisters' unwavering discipline. Rumors whispered in the town. Strange sounds from locked rooms, shadows moving in the dead of night. But no one dared investigate. Authority figures nodded in approval, blinded by Mother Whitman's charm and the academy's facade of piety. Yet, beneath the surface, the girls were subjected to a daily routine of strict control. Endless prayers, rigorous domestic training, and isolation. The harsh truth was these girls were being groomed, conditioned to obey, their identities stripped until only obedience remained. Psychological control was the invisible prison, deeper than any chain. In 1851, a teacher named Elizabeth Hartwell made a discovery that would shatter the illusion forever. In the depths of the academy's basement, behind a false wall, she found beds, small, iron-shackled beds, each with remnants of a child's life. A torn doll, a faded ribbon, a wooden cross. On the wall, the desperate message, "We are still here." The authorities buried her report. It vanished into archives no one dared to open for over a century. But Elizabeth's discovery whispered the truth. The girls were not placed into Christian homes. They were trapped, hidden away, perhaps even sold into darkness. What monstrous force allowed this to happen? What twisted network thrived on the innocence stolen within those brick walls? St. Catherine's was a front, a node in a corrupt system where children became commodities, their lives erased to protect powerful interests cloaked in sanctity. The first sign that something was truly wrong came from outside the academy's walls. A woman named Emma Prescott, a seamstress with a keen eye and a courageous heart. She heard the haunting lullabies of girls she once knew, but not in places of refuge. Instead, these voices came from the shadows of Boston's darkest alleys and brothels. Emma's eyes caught glimpses of girls she believed had been adopted into good families. Yet they wore the hollow look of prisoners, not daughters. Their dresses were too fine, their movements too mechanical. The girls' eyes told stories of despair, compliance forced by unseen chains. Emma's letters seeking answers were met with cold, veiled threats from the sisters. The truth was dangerous, something Mother Whitman would kill to keep buried. Emma's discovery unraveled a horrifying reality. The girls were funneled into a network of exploitation, a trafficking operation hiding behind religion and charity. The corruption was not accidental. It was institutional. St. Catherine's was intertwined with Salem's elite, with powerful men like Cornelius Blackwood, an alias for a shadowy figure orchestrating the dark trade. Requests for girls under false pretenses, promises of care, but a reality of commodification and abuse. The Academy's leaders became gatekeepers of a system that profited off the vulnerable, trading innocence for wealth and power. This was a secret that tied religion, politics, and crime in an unholy alliance, each piece protecting the other, each lie a brick in the fortress of silence. This was a psychological control system built not just on fear, but on manipulation so deep it altered the very fabric of identity. The girls' spirits were broken before their bodies, their histories erased by those who wielded power behind the mask of sanctity. Think for a moment, what does it mean when a place built to nurture becomes a cage? When the very hands meant to protect wield chains? The psychological terror inflicted on these girls was profound. It was a calculated erasure of self, a conditioning to obey, to forget, to disappear. The sisters enforced a rigid schedule, controlled every word and gesture, and punished rebellion with isolation, deprivation, or worse. Over time, the girls' identities blurred, their memories fragmented by trauma and fear. This was not just physical captivity, it was a mental dominion, a psychological enslavement that crushed willpower and replaced it with hollow submission. The silence around St. Catherine's was deafening. No cries, no escape, no salvation. The Academy was a dark mirror of control systems that still exist, hidden beneath layers of society's acceptance. I want you now to take a deep breath and recognize the weight of this knowledge. The story you're hearing is not fiction. It's a chilling mirror held up to a society that allowed, even enabled, such darkness. And there is more to uncover. If you understand the gravity of this revelation, type "silent chains, silent minds" twice in the comments. This phrase is more than words, it is a symbol, a lock and key, a seal of awakening and transformation. It marks you as someone who refuses to be blinded by lies and who seeks the truth no matter the cost. Engage with this knowledge and the descent deepens. Do not look away now. The forbidden truths demand your full attention. After Emma's brave but dangerous discoveries, things escalated. The sisters' operation expanded beyond Salem. What had started as a local tragedy became a sprawling network of trafficking, extending from New England into New York City's seedy underbelly. The girls were no longer just orphans. They became currency in a dark economy, traded between brothels, corrupt officials, and wealthy clients. The religious veneer provided cover, a shield against suspicion and investigation. This was an ancient corruption reborn, systematic, institutional, and grotesquely efficient. What enabled it was not just secrecy, but complicity at every level, from the clergy who ignored rumors to the law enforcement that turned a blind eye. It was a conspiracy fueled by greed, control, and the insatiable hunger for power. The public face of St. Catherine's remained spotless. Mother Superior Whitman was celebrated, invited to speak in churches, praised for her charity. Sister Margaret's kindness was legend, and Sister Agnes's discipline was accepted as necessary. But behind closed doors, the girls' world was a nightmare, filled with fear, submission, and loss. The sisters maintained the illusion with meticulous care, locking away the third floor, forbidding questions, rewriting histories. Visitors saw only what was allowed. Well-behaved girls, clean dormitories, prayerful silence. No one was allowed to see the truth. This duality, public reverence and private horror, was the ultimate deception, a psychological control that shaped perception and maintained power. What became of the girls? Some were broken beyond repair. Others vanished entirely. The 69 girls who entered St. Catherine's never truly left. Their fates were erased, their names lost to time. The iron shackles on those basement beds were not just metal. They were symbols of forgotten lives, memories chained to darkness. Their possessions, the torn dolls, faded ribbons, wooden crosses, are relics of innocence stolen. These girls' stories are a warning and a call to awaken. Behind every institution, every official narrative, lies the possibility of hidden agendas and suppressed truths. The question is, how many stories like this remain buried? How deep does the corruption run? And what does it mean for us today, living in a world still shaped by hidden forces? Let's step back and reflect on what this means for you. Watching now, a man seeking truth and mastery in a world ruled by hidden power. The story of St. Catherine's is not just history. It is a lesson in vigilance, in understanding that the greatest manipulations are the ones dressed in virtue, that the systems we trust can become prisons of control. The psychological systems that enslave those girls are still in play, only the faces and names have changed. Awareness is the first step to breaking these chains, to mastering your own mind, your own life. You have now glimpsed the machinery of corruption, the shadows behind the mask. This knowledge is dangerous, but it is also power. History shows us that when darkness hides behind religion, when institutions silence the vulnerable, evil grows unchecked. But it also shows us that secrets, no matter how deeply buried, have a way of surfacing. The 69 girls who never left St. Catherine's are a testament to that. They were erased but never gone. Their story lives in the cracks of history, waiting for the right eyes to see. To you now I pass the torch, to seek, to question, to expose. Because in the depths of forbidden knowledge lies the path to freedom. Freedom from manipulation, from control, from the lies that bind us. But freedom demands courage, the courage to look beneath the surface and face what others refuse to see. In the end, the greatest power lies in knowledge that liberates. The story of St. Catherine's is a dark chapter, but it is also a call to awaken, to refuse silence, to dismantle the systems built on fear and deception. The chains that bound those girls were physical, but the chains we face today are often invisible, woven through media, education, religion, and politics. Recognizing these chains is the first step toward breaking them. You are not powerless. You are the heir of those silenced voices, the seeker of forbidden truths. Now that you have stepped into this hidden world, you carry the responsibility to keep looking, keep questioning, keep awakening. This is your crucible. Remember this, true mastery is not just about knowledge. It is about transformation. The truths you have heard tonight are dangerous, yes, but also liberating. They strip away illusions and force you to confront reality on its raw terms. The story of the 69 orphan girls is more than a haunting tale. It is a symbol of what happens when power corrupts unchecked, when systems betray the innocent, and when silence becomes complicity. Now, take this knowledge and let it forge you into something stronger. A man who sees behind the veil, who refuses to be manipulated, who commands his own fate. The descent into darkness you have taken is not the end. It is the beginning of awakening. Step forward with eyes wide open. The truth has found you.